build such a strong team and operate on that same level.
Hey, Elizabeth, hey, links, hey, Elizabeth, hey.
We're here from the label's founder, Richie Mensah. That and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apo. This is your home of bold, credible and fearless journalism. Thanks for your company. This afternoon, Joy News has secured exclusive details of how driver of the Bullion van attacked by robbers yesterday got saved at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Eric Ochre, who is the third and only survivor of the attack, sustained several gunshot injuries to his chest, hand and limbs. The incident left a police officer dead after he was shot in the head and a 40-year-old mother of three killed. Her husband recounts what happened.
I was called on a phone by a young lady to be told that my wife is lying in a pool of blood. But then I was far from home, so I have to rush over here. And I came to, it's true, when I came it was true that the body has been taken to the police morgue. We spoke yesterday several times. We spoke in the night, discussing about the children. And the time for me to call is around 12 o'clock, only to be informed that she's been killed. That's all.
How many children do you have?
We have 3 boys.
Now, Director of Police Public Affairs, SP Sheila Abeye-Bachman, that's DSP, says the IGP has tasked the police CID to hunt down the perpetrators. She also called on the public to volunteer information that will assist in investigations.
We are appealing to the public to support our investigation, give us information so that we can arrest the perpetrators as soon as possible for them to face the consequence of the law. We have put out phone numbers. One of the phone numbers 026 2122 We also have 0244994564, 0244280001. Call the police. These numbers will go directly to the investigative team. You also know the police emergency numbers 191 or 18555 for us to arrest these perpetrators as early as possible for them to face prosecution.
That's Superintendent Sheila Abeye-Bachman, Director of Police Public Affairs there. Well, it took doctors more than 6 hours to stabilize the 35-year-old for an operation late Monday evening. Several pellets were retrieved from his chest, his limbs, forearms and other parts. Listen to Dr. Frederick Kwarting give details to my colleague Manuel Kranting.
Our assessment showed that the bullets had penetrated the chest wall and damaged vessels and was bleeding heavily into the chest. He also had bullets in the thoracic spine, and then also the gunshot injury damaged the right hand. There were pellets in the whole of the right upper limb, in the arm and in the forearm. As soon as he was brought, though he was fully conscious, he was drowsy and was in shock with very low blood pressures. In fact, his blood pressure was about 80 systolic and 50 diastolic. So it means he was in a severe shock, and we started resuscitation. We tried to stabilize him. Now, in the process of the resuscitation, we noticed that even though we were giving him much fluids and blood transfusion, his blood pressure kept dropping. And so we did further evaluation and realized he was bleeding actively in the chest and had accumulated a lot of blood in the chest, which will have been detrimental to his survival. So as an emergency procedure, we put a chest tube into the chest to drain the blood. But we realized that whilst we were draining the blood, he was still bleeding profusely in the chest. So yesterday in the night, around 9 p.m., he was rushed to theater by the cardiothoracic surgeons, where he had thoracotomy done. In other words, surgery that opens into the chest to stop all the bleeding points and to be stabilized. So as we speak, he had surgery yesterday and he is fairly stable, but is still on the recovery wards.
That's Dr. Frederick Kwating speaking there to my colleague Manuel Kranting. And now, in the last few hours, we understand the IGP has been meeting with officials of the Bank of Ghana. Head of our security desk, Gifty Andwapia, joins me with details. What do we know about this meeting, Gifty?
Information about this meeting is still a bit sketchy, but what we know for sure is that there has been an agreed upon decision between the banks and the police service to provide what the IGP has described as fortified armored billion vans for some of these cash transfers. So they've been impressing upon them to make good of this by the end of this month. And the police public affairs director has been speaking to this.
IGP Mr. Pombono has also been meeting with key stakeholders who we give service to, and one of such stakeholders has been the Association of Bankers, and in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana. And so sometime earlier this year, it was agreed between them that by the end of this month, they would provide fortified armored billion vans for police escorts. And so the IGP is also holding them to that agreement or that promise they made, so that our officers will also work in safe environments.
Let's stay a while longer on this because the Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee says it will push for bulletproof vests and helmets to be provided for all policemen on duty. Government in August 2019 committed to doing this after 2 police persons were shot dead in the line of duty. Listen to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia speaking at the funeral of one of the policemen in August 2019.
The era when we send police for outside duties, whether for traffic or other duties, unarmed, I think is over. Henceforth, all police who go for outside duties will carry ammunition, will carry weapons, and will also have bulletproof vests and helmets. They have to.
You heard the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia speaking at the funeral of a slain police officer in August 2019. Well, there are still police officers on outside duties without bulletproof vest helmets. Vice Chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, ASP Ophelia Kwanza-Hayford, retired, says a strong push will be made for the provision of these items.
When we are going out for operations, I think one of the recommendations that will come up with my committee with that they should be in helmets, bulletproof helmets with bulletproof jackets. Assuming he was in the bulletproof helmet or in a bulletproof jacket, would have even we would have not lost him totally. But if he's injured, would have even gotten a clue of what exactly happened. But here is the case: just one bullet, because he was just there, hit him, and then he was gone. But when we go on missions, we have all those things.
The missions outside the country.
Outside the country. So I think we will recommend that the police administration get those going on SPAC duties and those patrols with the bulletproof jackets and then the helmet. A part of the police, like the SWAT, they have, but not everybody has that bulletproof jacket. But we will recommend that we get every police officer a bulletproof jacket and a helmet.
Now, she also reveals the committee has in the last week met on what seems to be a wave of violent crimes in Ghana.
My committee will take it up. In fact, we've taken keen notice of this, all the happenings around. And as I rightly told you, we've met earlier on and discussed a lot. We've met with some marshals as to how to get the state apparatus trained in intelligence gathering and then fighting crime as well.
Was this after the first robbery?
Yes, the first two. I think that was last week, Tuesday. We met exactly a week today. We met and we had a lot of deliberations. So we are coming up with some recommendations, and then soon it will be out there as to the protocols that will be set in place for these. I'm told the IGP met with this operators bank operators, and then came out with a directive that they should get their bullion van, bulletproof bullion vans to operate with. We don't know what happened. We didn't hear anything, and then this unfortunate incident happened again. Assuming they had adhered to whatever was put up or agreed on, and then purchased such vans, would have saved a life. Because
that's Olivia Kwanzaa Hayford. She's a vice chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee. They're speaking to Daniel Dati on Prime Morning. Gifty Andropia, the head of our security desk, is still with me here in the studio. Gifty, let's go through the crime statistics around the country for the last 6 months.
So each and every month seems to have had a record of a violent crime like this. Let me start from January. Robbers shot a 25-year-old driver in the leg at the entrance of Wulugu Senior High School. That happened on 2nd of January. Gunmen attacked a water company at Anlo Afiadinyegba Junction in the Volta region and made away with an undisclosed amount. This was 14th of January. Another group of armed robbers shot a young policeman who was escorting a bullion van, and then they bolted with the money. Happened on the 18th of January. And then the police officer was shot dead in a broad daylight robbery at Nyankomaso near Obuasi. The same January, armed men besieged a church in Oibi. They shot the pastor and stabbed a worshipper. Then again, armed men killed a police officer, injured another in Pramkese in Techiman. All these 6 cases happened in January. Fast forward to February. Armed robbers attacked and snatched Asokore Mampong MCE Alidu Seidu's official vehicle at gunpoint on his return from the Garden City University campus. In March, a bullion van again was attacked at Bachuna Spintex in a daylight operation by some unknown men. The driver escaped, but the police officer was assaulted. Moved to April. Robbers again shot and killed a couple returning from a bank in Sekondi Takrade, and then they bolted with the cash. This was on 11th of April. And then 2 persons were shot and left in a bad condition at a fuel station in Ojobi in Gomwa East. This was 28th of April. In May, there was a census trainer who was shot at Cape Coast while returning from a census training. A head teacher again was killed in Atebubu Kwame Danso Highway in a suspected robbery attack. Again, a taxi driver was found dead at Achempim in the Takwa Nsuayan municipality. His vehicle was taken away by the robbers. And then in the same month, highway robbers in the Kofidua at Chimkukrentumi Road in the eastern region shot 1 person and bolted with about 50,000. Finally, in June, which is this month, a driver of a Nissan Pathfinder was attacked on the Gimpa Fiesta Royal Road. We know the modus operandi. They threw a stone at the vehicle and tried to rob you. Armed robbers raided a forest bureau, which we know very, very close to the police headquarters here in Osu, just about last week. And then armed robbers, as we know in this case, have attacked another bullion van and killed the police officer and then this other woman who lived close by.
Thank you very much. Gifty Andropia is the head of our security desk. We can hear from the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, who says it is time for urgent reforms on policing in Ghana.
There is gradual breakdown of law and order, and I pray that we do not get to a state of normlessness in our country. They are not adequately and sufficiently prepared to protect lives and property, and that is equally to ask for restraint and calm in the country, whilst we call for greater reforms of policing in Ghana and improve policing in Ghana and community involvement and community participation.
That's the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu. Well, these reports of killings and murders are not restricted to the national capital, as you heard Gifty Andropia enumerate. In the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, the situation is similar. My colleague, Erastus Asari Donko, catalogs the incidents.
Late last year, 1 person was shot dead and 2 others, including a police escort, sustained severe bullet wounds after the bullion van they were traveling on was sprayed with bullets by suspected highway robbers wielding AK-47 and pump-action rifles. They made away with 2 big metal cases full of an undisclosed amount of cash. Early this year, 5 suspects robbed a bullion van and killed a police officer escorting the van at Asukwa Junction in the Adanse Fomana district, making away with 500,000 cedis cash. In June 2nd this year, 1 person was gunned down when robbers attacked CSSL Enterprise, a shop offering financial services and robbed them of over 140,000 cedis in broad daylight at Bokrom Estate Junction in Kumasi. In February this year, importers and transporters of tomatoes hit the streets of Kumasi in a demonstration over what they say were persistent robbery attacks on the Kumasi-Bolgatanga-Burkina Faso route. They embarked on an indefinite strike, grounding all their vehicles. In April this year, residents of Manso Tontokrom in the Amansia South district of the Ashanti region expressed alarm over the resurgence of violent attacks in the town. The residence of the acting chief of the town was attacked by some armed youth.
Some cases they have been catalogued by my colleague Erastus Cesare Donko. Meanwhile, security analyst Adam Bona says the police must make use of technology to crack down on such brazen robberies.
If these crimes that are taking place was to happen in probably downtown London or New York or DC or Germany, any of these places, the first 5-10 minutes, you will see a video out there. We are looking for so and so and so. When was the last time we saw this done in Ghana? We just installed the CCTVs as if they are dummy cameras. So, Evans, as far as I'm concerned, we are at high risk because now they are ambushing all of us and ambushing police officers.
That's a security analyst, Adam Bona, will stay on crime because the family of a 23-year-old student found dead in a hotel room are calling on the police to speed up investigations into the gruesome killing of their daughter. 23-year-old Priscilla Chega was found dead in a hotel where she had checked in with her friend. CCTV footage obtained by the family showed the deceased friend leaving the hotel wearing Priscilla's clothes and her backpack. Priscilla was found lying motionless with foam in her mouth and a knife stuck in her abdomen. Priscilla Chega's family spoke to my colleague Benjamin Akapo.
We, the family, at least we have to see our body or the body of Priscilla Chega for identification first. For identification first. But when we go to the mortuary, the mortuary said, we should wait. We should pay an amount of 150 Ghana cedis before he will allow us to see the body. Meanwhile, the CID was not around at that time. The CID this morning was calling me that I should come very quickly to the mortuary so that we go and see the body together with my wife. But my worry is that the police, they have to sit up because I've lost my daughter, and then just for identification, and then they are just go and come tomorrow, this and blah, blah, blah. In fact, it's worrying me a lot.
Family of 23-year-old student found dead in a hotel room. They're speaking to my colleague Benjamin Akapo. Now, Deputy Attorney General Designate Alfred Chiayeboa is urging the state to carry out executions of people who have been sentenced to death, so it serves as a deterrent to others. He says some murders, like those committed during robbery, deserve to be killed. He's been responding to questions at the sitting of Parliament's Appointments Committee, where he's being vetted for the position.
I equally also hold this view that as you have in the US, if this honorable house, together other stakeholders, may want to venture into grading murders, some of them are subscribed to the execution of their full execution of their sentences. If it's murder, they have to be killed, they must be killed. At times, it sends some kind of signal to others that it doesn't pay to kill. But so far as we have it now, people are sentenced to death, they are in prison at the Sawam. Some of them, under some circumstances, you may say, you may want to sympathize with them. But there are others that I think, if we were to scrap their sentence, we may have more murders.
That's Alfred Chiayeboa, the Deputy Attorney General Designate. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us live on the line. What else has he been telling the committee about, apart from killing others?
He's also been responding to questions about what can be done to ensure that prosecution that's done by state agencies happen expeditiously, and he's been throwing in a suggestion that students who have completed their first degree when it comes to law and are waiting to get into law school can be trained to then become prosecutors, so that then police who don't have any experience when it comes to prosecution don't have to do prosecutions. And he says this is a suggestion he will take to his minister. He's also been commenting on the issue having to do with the Achimota school with the Rastafarian student who has been denied admission, and he's been quoting portions of the Constitution to say that the Constitution allows for the limitation of some rights when it comes to provision of various necessities like education for those who are under 18 years.
And of course, Deputy Minister Designate for Tourism and Creative Arts, Marco Kweku-Mante, is expected to appear before the committee later today. What can we expect?
So he would actually be the last of all the deputy ministerial nominees, and today 2 others are expected to appear, after which he will then come respond to questions. And he's been leader of the Creative Arts Council, so questions around how various COVID-19 restrictions have affected the industry and what is being done to revive the creative arts and the tourism sector generally. Those are some of the issues that are expected to come up even as he prepares to appear before the committee.
Do give him our support for us. And that's Joseph Opoku Gakpo there, our parliamentary correspondent. And this is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We've been talking about growing insecurity in parts of the country following reports of numerous murders in Kumasi and now Accra. We've been hearing from the Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee also pushing for bulletproof vests and helmets for all policemen nearly 2 years after government made that pledge. When we return from the break, we have sports and then also ask why the career of some of the nation's top artists takes a nosedive after leaving record label Lynx Entertainment.
ASEM. So when the artist loses this and they are working on their own, it will take time for them to be able to build such a strong team and operate on that same level.
Hey, Lynx.
Do you know that when you dial star 700 hash on Vodafone, you are accessing a world of endless opportunities from getting a job in a... Do you know that when you dial star 700 hash on Vodafone, you are accessing a world of endless opportunities from getting a job in another country while right here in Ghana to playing esports in real time, from attending world-class institutions from your bedroom to seeing specialist doctors without leaving home and so much more. So get the best value data offers in Ghana on Vodafone. Get 1.23 gigabyte data, no expiry data for only 5 Ghana cedis, 3.4 gigabyte data for only 10 cedis, and 9 gigabyte data for only 20 Ghana cedis. Dial star 700 hash now.
Vodafone. Together we can.
Thanks for staying with us on the Midday News. It's time for sports. Hans Mensah Ando joins us in the studio.
Portugal is in action, later today, of course, on the live commentary here. Cristiano Ronaldo will be in action, but Black Stars head coach Siki Akona has been speaking, and he's touched on the lack of goals from the team. He says he's not worried about the problem and insists the Black Stars will rise to the occasion during the World Cup qualifiers. And speaking of the Euros, we've got a predict and win competition that is currently ongoing. All you have to do is to predict today's game that's between Portugal and Hungary. You go to our Twitter handle, Joy Sports GH, and you see the question there. You just have to predict and get the right score line, and you win yourself quite a prize there.
We are betting on Joy Sports.
Somebody predicted the opening game between Italy and Turkey.
Okay.
Predicted the goal scorers and even predicted the own goal scored by Turkey.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Hans Mensah. We'll try it also. Now, Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, has charged the National Media Commission to review its way of receiving complaints from the public. Currently, the NMC receives only written complaints on unsatisfactory content. Speaking at a program where about 18 groups signed a memorandum of cooperation on content regulation in Accra today, Mr. Nkrumah said broadening the channels will facilitate a more effective regulation as well as safer media space. Hannah Odame is there for joining us. She joins us on the line. What exact issues will this memorandum address?
The predominant one is to ensure that there's decency in the public communication, in the public space. And then we should note that it will deal specifically with content in electronic space, nothing to do with online or print for now. The current memorandum of understanding that was signed today will deal with content in electronic space. And then also it will ensure that there is decency. And it is expected that the cooperation between the NMC and NCA will help in improving monitoring and also effect the necessary punitive measures where necessary, because we know there's a situation where they say that they do not have the ability to effect punitive measures because they don't have the powers.
That's my colleague Hannah Odame there. Now, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin is cautioning Ghanaians against indiscriminate patronization of foreign telenovelas. According to him, such telenovelas being shown on networks in the country are not only corrupting women to the point their husbands no longer recognize them, but destroying cultures too. He was speaking at the launch of a book at a former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Ken Jirasa, titled Defining Moments, a Trip from a Village to Parliament and Beyond.
The telenovelas of today on our television sets are figments of imagination from the cultures they originated from, which have been developed into storylines. Very often, they have no bearings on our culture. These become storylines that captivate us to the extent that we are not prepared to miss even one episode. It is about content and its impact on us, irrespective of how the contents gets to us. In fact, these days I've been talking to a lot of women to stop watching those telenovelas because they are corrupting them to the extent that their husbands may no longer know them.
Speaker Alban Bagbin. Now, after a highly charged debating contest, Opokuwari School and Adventist Girls SHS are the first to qualify to the semi-finals of the Love FM High School debate. They beat Efiakobi Sewa Ampim and Yasantua Girls, respectively. Owa's triumph for the motion. The national security outfit in Ghana has lost its relevance in our country's security architecture. Love FM's Irasu Sasaridonko has more.
The United States of America is a country with better roads, yet as they still do okay.
Ghanaian roads are unfortunately famous for their potholes, varying in size and length, which not all drivers are privy to them.
The second contest started with a charged atmosphere by OWAS against a more reserved Efiakobi Girls Senior High School.
The National Security Unit is an unfortunate legacy inherited with a problematic modus operandi.
The National Security again apprehended a 13-member gang, and so you cannot consider such institution that does that as irrelevant.
The next quarter-final contest will be staged on Wednesday.
That's Irasa Sasari Donko with Love FM's High School debate. Now, Links Entertainment, it's time for showbiz, it tells you, has produced some of Ghana's finest musicians, from rapper Asem, you remember him, to singer Easy Baby. The label currently has in its ranks top artists Kwame Eugene and Kiddy. A worrying concern has, however, been about how the careers of some of its talent takes a nosedive once they leave the label. CEO Richie Mensah has some explanation.
ASEM. We have a business development manager. We have administrative manager. Then we have a promo team. We have a digital team. So when the artist loses this and they are working on their own, it will take time for them to be able to build such a strong team and operate on that same level.
Well, and that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. MyJoyOnline.com has more stories and top stories. Families of 2020 election violence victims in Techiman to get 4-bedroom houses. Appointments Committee vets Mark Okweku Mante, Herbert Krapper, and 2 others today. We also have live updates there. We'll stop escorting your cash if you don't acquire armored bullion vans. IGP warns banks. That and more on MyJoyOnline.com. Pastor Mensa Otabil has Living Word. We're continuing the Wisdom series, episode 17. I am Emefa Apau. Thanks so much for your company. Have a good afternoon.
This MTN spin the wheel. It is simple. Yeah, top up your airtime. Text spin to 5040 and win your prize. Simple. And you can win up to 30,000 Ghana cedis every month. Text VIP to 5040 to enjoy 10 additional points.